roan. I'm your favorite artist. I'm your dream girl's dream girl. And I'm gonna serve exactly what you are.
By now, we've all fallen in love with chappell roan and have relearned how amazing pop music is. Even those of us who used to think that pop music wasn't cool or edgy enough are finding ourselves deeply in love with chappell roan and many other pop singers these days. So what changed? Well, chappell did a whole lot more than just tap into Lady Gaga's 2010 superpowers, and I think that she single-handedly brought pop music back into the spotlight. Not that it ever left, necessarily. Pop today is simply just reaching and embracing new audiences, catapulting artists such as chappell roan to insane levels of success. But becoming a pop icon overnight isn't necessarily an amazing thing to have happen to you from a mental health standpoint. And chappell has been a bit frustrated with newer fans and paparazzi who aren't quite respecting her boundaries. Today, I want to explore the history of both pop music and fan culture to explore why chappell blew up overnight and how it has affected her and the industry as a whole. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment some ideas for what you'd like to see next. I upload on a 2 to 3 week basis, so make sure you come back each Friday to check out what I've got for you. I'm B, and this is a Butterfly Media Deep Fly, not a deep dive. When you think about pop music today, you will likely start thinking about electronic, synth, and rap artists such as Taylor Swift, SZA, Charlie XCX, Sabrina Carpenter, chappell roan, etc. Also, forgive me, I don't listen to men, so they are not the first artists that come to mind. Who's a man? The Weeknd. These artists all have a similar sound, but that sound isn't necessarily what pop music sounds like. Pop music is defined as the genres that are most popular amongst audiences at a given time. According to the London Singing Institute, every couple of decades essentially get their own sound when it comes to pop music. The 1920s marked the birth of R&B, jazz, and blues, with artists such as Louis Armstrong, King Oliver, and Sidney Bechet. Jazz really stood out because it was fast, vibrant, and so different from previous sounds. It makes sense too because it would have been really hard to do any flapper dancing to church hymns and classical music that was popular before. Jazz was popular for quite some time, with variations such as swing jazz in the 30s, and bands in country music also began to gain a bit of traction in the 30s. The 1950s and 60s brought rock and roll to the mainstream, allowing many deviant teens to get up to rambunctious activities. They loved them some Beatles. Okay, side tangent. When I was little, I was at Disney World with my family, and if you didn't know, they used to have a Beatles tribute band. They were called the British Invasion, and my 5-year-old ass thought they were the real Beatles. Like, girl. And then I, for years, went and told people when I got back that I had seen and met the Beatles. What? I saw bowl cuts and I was like, yes. Literally, I remember in history classes, like, sitting around being like, I mean, I don't even get what the big deal is. Like, I've seen the Beatles. But the Beatles were popular along with the Rolling Stones, which makes the British invasion's name make a bit more sense. Outside of Britain, this era of pop also brought Led Zeppelin and Elvis to the spotlight. Elvis, by the way, didn't invent his style of music or performance by any means. He stole most of his mannerisms and songs from black artists. Keep that in mind. The 60s also brought portable radios to more homes, which gave people wider access to music and therefore the trends. This really helped rock grow. I guess you could say it helped rock roll. The 70s and 80s began transitioning pop music into funk, stadium rock, disco, and pop rock. These were the decades of Stevie Wonder, Queen, Michael Jackson, and Kiss. Fleetwood Mac also rose during this time, which is a whole nother mess that I did a whole video on. Be sure to check that out if you want to know more about them. It'll be up in the screen either on this side or on this side. I don't make the rules. Editing me does it for me, so I don't have to do any of it. The tides really turned in the 80s when hip-hop was introduced. Hip-hop has likely been the biggest influence over the kind of pop music we see today. Stéphane Joubert from the London Singing Institute says, quote, "Hip-hop introduced the third and the most influential revolution of pop music since rock and roll and digital instruments," end quote. 80s hip-hop groups included Salt and Peppa, the Beastie Boys, and Run DMC. The 90s brought some more change and other genres as well, with grunge and punk rising along with pop bands and artists. This was Britney Spears, Madonna, the Backstreet Boys, Nirvana, and the Spice Girls. Punk brought Blink-182 and Fall Out Boy, and rap and hip-hop had Eminem, 50 Cent, and Missy Elliott. Now those names probably sound a little bit more like the kind of music you listen to today than Frank Sinatra. Unless you're like bopping Frank Sinatra all day long, which, I mean, props to you, but I think you might be the little mouse from Sing.
And now
Today's pop music combines the hip-hop styles with the pop star styles of the 90s, and it is great. 21st century pop artists include Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Gorillaz, Rihanna, and of course, Lady Gaga. We've practically arrived at today's stars, but the industry has been welcoming some fresh new faces. It's really freaky for me because genuinely, what do you mean Olivia Rodrigo is only 3 years older than me? No. Nope, she's not. New pop artists use similar influences, but they've added their own twists, often including more electronic influences than were used before. Some of the biggest pop artists of the 2020s include Sabrina Carpenter, Charli XCX, Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, Renee Rapp, and Chappell Roan. Still, each of these artists has been criticized in one way or another for being inappropriate, mean divas. Sabrina had parents pissed at her for her dirty humor. Charli literally just owns being a brat. Billie has people pissed because she wins too much and is edgy. Olivia is overrated and annoying. Renee isn't media trained. And Chappell stands up for herself and doesn't let people treat her poorly.
I gotta shut the f up, Jim. This is spot.
You shut the
Hey! Yeah! Yo! Chapel!
I mean, sound like crimes to me. Unfortunately, famous women will seemingly always face criticism and complaints for one thing or another. Still, I've really been a fan of these modern artists setting boundaries and not taking shit from anyone. Chappell is unique because of how unapologetically stern she is when setting boundaries and how she's honest and genuine about her feelings on things. It's so drastically different from the way the music industry has always operated, so many people are upset with her for it. Still, there's something so liberating and inspiring about her courage and her ability to stand up for herself and for her friends. And so many of us just can't seem to look away. She's a rising star who blew up overnight, but many people don't realize just how much work she put into her passion and how long it took. Before 2024, Chappell was still releasing hits, and I know this because I've been here. I have been sat in this fan seat for years. I'm the girl who put all my friends on her, and I'm proud. If you weren't waiting up for her singles, what were you doing? What were you doing? Like, if you didn't wait for the release of Casual, if you didn't wait for the release of Red Wine Supernova, you know what? In fact, I literally streamed Red Wine Supernova. I literally streamed Red Wine Supernova over 100 times the weekend it came out. My earbuds. This song comes out on Thursday at midnight. It comes out. I start streaming it. I have 1 day. As in Friday, 2 days, as in Friday, Saturday, not even 3 days, because Airbuds comes out at 8 p.m. on Sunday. I have not even 3 days, and I get over 100 listens, almost 200 if I remember correctly. I digress. So Chappell Roan got her career started on YouTube, as all the greats do, by uploading covers. She's from Missouri, hence her being a Midwest princess. Her first song, Die Young, was released when she was 16, and she got signed to Atlantic Records because of it when she was just 17. She then released her infamous cursive album, School Nights, in 2017 under her stage name. Chappell Roan is an ode to her grandfather, whose last name was Chappell and loved the Mary Robbins song, The Strawberry Roan. She moved to LA to pursue her dreams after releasing her EP. She told Rolling Stone, quote, "I feel allowed to be who I want to be here. That changed everything," end quote. Feeling LA's gay liberation and really bad public transport, she wrote and released Pink Pony Club in 2020. It's such a good, iconic song, but her label dropped her over it because it didn't make them enough money, which is sick, twisted, evil, disgusting, and mean. After that, she was an independent artist for a bit, which was especially difficult when the pandemic was just beginning. So she moved back in with her parents. Still, Chappell kept making art while she was working at a donut shop. She started writing with Danielle Nijro, who has worked with Olivia Rodrigo and Conan Gray. She released Naked in Manhattan and My Kink is Karma in 2022, both with extremely gay music videos that she made with her friends. Now, this is another moment where I get to brag. I found Chappell in 2022 because I saw a video of her performing Naked in Manhattan and became literally so obsessed. If I can find the video where I found her, I will put it in here. Added the song to my story. I started paying attention to her and forced my friends to listen to her in my car. Whenever a song is really good, I will play it while I'm driving my sister around, and I tell her, I queued up a song that's literally so good it's crazy, and you need to listen to it and appreciate it, and then thank me for sharing it with you. And so then she gets obsessed too and spreads it with her friends, and the cycle continues. When I saw that TikTok, part of me genuinely went, oh my god, this girl is gonna be huge. And I was right. I love being right. Like most modern artists, Chappell began promoting her music and brand online, gaining support for her fun, spunky personality and music. Along the way, she opened for Olivia Rodrigo and Fletcher. She went on to start her headlining tour, Naked in North America, in 2023, and she included drag queens as her openers.
A drag queen?
She also utilized drag queens on her later Midwest Princess tour. For each city, she reached out to local drag performers in the area to give them a boost and show their communities where to find drag and inclusive spaces, which I think is so sweet because it's so rare to see an artist immediately uplift others in the form of both other artists and her fans. She clearly understood the value of showing young queer people that they are never alone, even in their Midwestern small town. Chappell officially signed with Amusement Records with Daniel Nijro so that she could produce her album in a practical and a productive way. No longer independently funded, Chappell released Hot to Go in August of 2023, and it came with a cute little dance that you likely already know because it's so simple and fun.
HOTTOGO. You can take me hot to go.
She wrote the song to sound like a song that cheerleaders would use in competition, and she had a lot of fun producing it. She also knew she wanted to make something with a simple dance, so she created the matching movements while she was writing the song. In September of 2023, she finally released her album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and it is still so good. I listen to it nonstop. It includes a variety of elements that current pop already has, with synth, iconic guitar lines, and touching vocals, but still, the album brings something else to the table. It's so enjoyable and pop-based, but it's also extremely touching and personal. You can tell how much emotion went into the creation of each song, and each features iconic lines and instruments. She announced the Midwest Princess Tour around this time, and I was so excited to get tickets for it and literally bought them for $35 each. That's crazy. Like, I'm really mourning the fact that I will never be able to see her that cheap again. Chappell started doing more press in 2024 with her Tiny Desk performance and many other pop-ups. Bro, I bit my lip because I have anxiety. And I'm just tasting pennies. By April, her audience had vastly expanded. She had campy Coachella performances, and Good Luck Babe was released. Good Luck Babe is a gay anthem, but it did great even outside of queer communities. The song is really complex, and it also has another really unique sound. She uses a synth reminiscent of 80s and 90s pop, and it combined with her unique, powerful vocals to create something fresh. She credits artists such as Stevie Nicks, Kate Bush, and Cyndi Lauper for inspiring her vocal approach. The song really resonated with anyone who has an ex that's pretending to be something they're not, and it turns out there are a lot of those. Her run of various festivals pushed her into household name status very quickly, getting her what many believe to be the largest crowds at Lollapalooza. One of the biggest reasons for her success was her campy, over-the-top outfits. I remember people going crazy on festival days trying to predict what she would wear next. Chappell was heavily inspired by Lady Gaga and Beyoncé for her performances and her stage presence, combining those influences with drag culture. Her look is the embodiment of camp, and it is definitely looking me in the eye. Later on, she performed on SNL, and she introduced everyone to The Giver, a song she's set to release anytime soon. Please release it. Please, 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 please. Yay! She also just won her first Grammy for Best New Artist, beating Doechii, Sabrina Carpenter, and more. And her performance of Pink Pony Club at the Grammys genuinely brought me to tears, because hearing that whole room of people singing back to her was just so incredibly beautiful and powerful. She went from her label completely dropping her over a song that expressed her true creativity and artistry, to having a room full of the top artists sing the lyrics back to her just before she won a Grammy. Her story is beautiful and powerful, but it has come with a bit of controversy. As Chappell rose to fame, she went from having a very small fan base to having a huge, obsessed group of people watching her every move with hungry eyes. She got understandably overwhelmed and publicly set boundaries with posts on her TikTok and Instagram regarding the sudden attention she was gaining.
I don't care that abuse and harassment, stalking, whatever, is a normal thing to do to people who are famous or a little famous, whatever. I don't care that it's normal. I don't care that this crazy type of behavior comes along with the job, the career field I've chosen. That does not make it okay. That doesn't make it normal. It doesn't mean I want it. It doesn't mean that I like it.
So she and her family were literally being doxxed and stalked. And she became overwhelmed by so many people expecting her to be her stage persona instead of herself. She gets a lot of shit for being mean to fans and is considered a diva, but her meanness is really just her trying to set healthy boundaries. Looking back to so many of the biggest pop stars over history, each of them also dealt with crazed fans who were foaming at the mouth to interact with them. From girls waiting for the Beatles so long they peed their pants, to teenagers growing attachments and writing fan fictions about One Direction, fandom culture has long been a thing. It exists outside of the music industry as well. I mean, just look at My Little Pony or the way people acted when Twilight came out. That's how I act when Kristen Stewart came out too. Hey girl. Many critics of Chappell have pointed to these examples to suggest that the crazed fans are nothing new and are just part of the job. This may be true, but I have to ask the question, do they have to be? Like, personally, I think it's really weird to be developing these parasocial relationships with any celebrity, but it has become so normalized that so many people argue that it's just in the job description. I admit, some people are attracted to fame for this kind of attention specifically. For them, it is in fact the whole point of the job. Alternatively, some people, such as Chappell, purely want to make art to express themselves and their experiences, and they happen upon fame because of their true dedication and love for the craft. Of course, some artists start out wanting to make art and end up craving the attention, but the industry and fans surrounding it set artists up as if obscene amounts of screaming teenage girls is the norm. I know I, for one, would absolutely hate having that level of fame. Not being able to leave my house without being constantly approached would drive me insane. Frankly, intense fans and fame should not be the norm, no matter the industry or the artist. Nobody should be put on so high of a pedestal because it becomes rapidly complex. Take Taylor Swift, for example, who has a giant fan base that defends her every move. Taylor is the perfect example of someone who genuinely enjoyed the art, likely in the beginning, and slowly began valuing the fame and the fans more. In a smart business move, Taylor now profits off of her fans endlessly, knowing they're watching her every move. She lures them in by making fans eager to pick up on Easter eggs along the way, but she primarily uses fans for endless profit. She set a bit of a norm recently by starting to release 10 billion versions of the same album. She releases special vinyl that's a pretty color and maybe has a new song, and this gets her fans to repurchase the same albums over and over again. This ends up benefiting her placing on the charts because each album contributes to her ranking and her placement. She's become a bit obsessed with being and maintaining the #1 spot. Don't come for me. This isn't saying that her music is terrible or that it's not coming from someone who wants to make art or someone who is even good at making art. But I think that you can just kind of pretty clearly see the decline in the quality of her music over the years, because to me it feels like she seems so much more focused on her business than on her art. While there's nothing wrong with being the best or benefiting from your fame, I feel like it's just less artistic. I don't know Chappell personally, of course, but part of me wonders if she's so passionate about her art that she doesn't want it to turn into more of a business. Most of her controversy has come from her interactions and attitudes with fans and press. But to me, it simply looks like she's trying to consistently set these boundaries to prevent them being crossed. In a way, she's pointing out the incidents to herself and outwardly opposing them, probably to remind others as well as herself to not let those kinds of things slide or to kind of grow addicted to them. She's not afraid to call out paparazzi when they're being rude, call out fans for being invasive, and call out politicians for falsehoods. She sparked some debate and controversy when she commented on the election and said that she didn't want to directly endorse Kamala Harris. What she did say was that she would change a law on both political sides, so she encouraged everyone to use their voices consciously after researching and thinking about the decision.
I have encouraged people to use critical thinking skills, learn about what they're voting for, learn about who they're voting for, and ask questions, and it's being completely taken out of context, per usual. There is nuance to what I say in interviews, and I think it's important that people use critical thinking. I think it's important for me to question authority and question world leaders and question myself, question my algorithm, question if some person that tweeted something about someone else is even true. It's important to question because that's how I think we move forward.
So this incredibly offended people, which, I'm sorry, why do we need celebrities speaking on politics all the time? It's like that video where they catch JoJo Siwa off guard with a really intense political question, and she's like, what?
Do you think every liberal Democrat should take home a migrant to show their support for the local
JoJo! That's how it feels for me every time, regardless of who the artist is. Why are we looking to these people to make our own decisions? We should not be. It feels like there are a lot of people who have these, again, parasocial relationships with celebrities and also have codependency issues with them. Because what do you mean you need Taylor Swift to tell you how to vote? Why does Chappell Roan need to speak on every political issue? These people are celebrities, artists at best, but they're not politicians, so they're not fully educated. And I honestly, I understand her being please do your own research, because she probably knows that people are going to analyze her every move. So she doesn't want to be caught off guard with anything and just tells people, please inform yourself. I don't want to do it for you and misinform anyone. And I think that's respectable. And expecting political statements from artists can also put them in dangerous situations. I fully understand why people would want to know that their artist of choice is supporting the right things, but that's another layer of privacy that artists can choose how to approach. If an artist wants to speak on politics, they are more than welcome to do so, but it's important that we don't pressure artists to be directly political. That is their choice, and there are so many artists who use their art for political reasons and purposes, and I think that there is an argument that Chappell Roan is one of them. She's been very stern about what she does and how she does it. I guess she has come into this bigger, wider fan base who might, be on different sides of things, but why is that her problem? And again, she rose so quickly. Writer for Daily Northwestern, Lavender Huang, wrote, quote, Roan's abstinence from national politics is a privilege. By saying she feels no need to endorse a candidate, Roan implies that this election is of little consequence to her. Indeed, Roan is a white, rich, cisgender woman, and she will be fine, but perhaps trans kids who may lose their access to gender-affirming care under Trump cannot say the same. End quote. What? Obviously, this election wasn't of little consequence to anyone. And we all know that. Also, why is this writer blaming Chappell Roan for Trump's policies? She's not Trump. She didn't endorse Trump. Like, I genuinely cannot fathom this thinking process. Chappell is privileged, and she voted for Kamala. And speaking on it multiple times and telling people that she did vote for Kamala is not abstinence from national politics. She literally talked about them in the whole clip you're criticizing. Also, saying that she will be fine is so stupid and the writer knows it. Guys, I'm ranting way too much. My bad. I just feel like it's a huge waste of time to focus so much energy being pissed at Chappell Roan instead of Trump. Like, if you're so insistent that she endorse candidates, you jump to her level of fame that quickly and see how it makes you feel. Let me remind you, Chappell was literally stalked and had herself and her family doxxed. She already clearly goes against so much of Trump's policies and probably doesn't want to put more of a target on her back because Trump supporters could genuinely track her down. And it's genuinely, it's just a matter of protection for her. And again, she doesn't owe us or anyone endorsements. Also, she's honestly not wrong. Both sides do have flaws, and I'm tired of having to pick the lesser evil. Her statement simply calls this out, and I think a lot of people misinterpreted it. She's not saying that it's so worthless we shouldn't even vote. Instead, she's raising awareness to the flawed system that set all of us up in this situation to begin with. If people really want change, organize groups and put your energy towards making progress rather than criticizing celebrities. At the end of the day, it all comes down to how much we expect from artists. It's important to remember that they have different pressures than we do and different dangers, and we therefore cannot expect them to approach everything in the same ways we do. Chappell Roan doesn't owe you a picture, she doesn't owe you a political statement, and she doesn't owe you friendliness when you're rude to her. There are many reasons why Chappell Roan has risen to fame, from her entertaining drag persona to her sharp lyrics and unique voice. Chappell has had star power since she first began making music. Her quick rise gives her an alluring quality, especially in relation to her persona. Essentially, her overwhelming traction and support has become legendary, earning her loyal fans that excitedly await her future projects. She isn't afraid to be sexual, gay, or plainly herself. She stands up for herself and her friends, and she's slowly but surely redefining the standards that pop artists are held to. When accepting her Grammy for Best New Artist, Chappell called out record labels for their mistreatment and abuse of young artists, immediately using her platform to make change. Though she has been endlessly criticized for her attitude and diva qualities, she continues defending herself and what she believes is right. Artists are known for making political statements and using their art to promote their beliefs, but Chappell is unique for expanding this outspokenness outside of just her performances and songs. Her music reflects this attitude and emphasizes her skills, and her unique sound is paving the way for more alternative, outspoken queer people to see success and become part of the mainstream. She is mesmerizing all audiences, and she is the future of pop. No, the future of pop is here. With Chappell, we are witnessing a new era of pop being born. It's not yet named, but it's absolutely powerful. This will be an era that stands up for its artists and promotes different personalities and gives them their own platforms. Love her or hate her, Chappell Roan is undoubtedly impactful and is changing the industry as we speak. I'll be curious to see what she does with her next album because it truly has the potential to solidly define the pop of the 2020s, and I am just as excited to watch other artists follow her lead in implementing boundaries and changing the industry for the better. I had such a good time making this video, and I am so grateful you watched all of it. Good for you. That is, unless you skip to the end. Regardless, thanks for watching however much of this that you did. As always, the links and resources I used and talked about are all in the description. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like to see some more pop culture based content, and please comment recommendations for my future videos. I ask every time and literally nobody has commented an idea yet. Guys, like I can't do all of it. Like, please help. What do you want to see? Tell me. It helps me bring you the content that you want to see, and I love doing it. This has been a Butterfly Media Deep Fly. I'm B, and I will see you next time.